Hello and welcome back to Klonoa Daughter Phantomile with me, Matthew Caddis, aka Puggy. Though now we are going to look at the original PS1 version of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile. And this game is technically very impressive for a PS1 game. Why? Because it is one of the few PS1 games that still use sprites. And that is very impressive for something done in 1997 when Nintendo, when many other consoles were moving away from sprites, but no, Namco actually did use sprites in this one, and they kind of combined it with the whole gameplay. But though, firstly, let's have a look at the opening cinematic, because one thing that is completely different with dare I say, the original, this is the original, what am I saying? With the, both the Fantasy Reverie and the Wii version, is that this is completely pre-rendered FMV cutscenes here. Seriously. And, for what it's worth, it actually looks better than either the Fantasy Reverie or the Wii versions, because it is CGI. True, it does have that sort of PS1 sort of charm to it, but the thing of note with it is that, yeah, the animation is a lot better here. Specifically when Hupo's ring appears in the middle of the forest, for example, and then Klonoa tries, like with in the thing, to pull it out. You can see the actual expression on Klonoa's face there. He's struggling to pull out the ring there. It's still somewhat cartoony, but perhaps less so than the thing, but it works. And also of note with Hupo there, he has a lot of hands. And look at this! Seriously, this is actually used in the opening part of the thing. Seriously, and then we go to Breeze Gale, and then we don't actually see Klonoa waking up. Well, we do actually see him waking up, but we see something hitting the bell tower there, and then what would become Guardius, of course, taking over Phantomile. And yeah, the look of terror there, that is very different to both the Wii version and the and dare I say, better. And the amount of animation they're put into Hupo, beautiful. Yeah, that for something done in 1997 still looks awesome. And then we get to the actual in-game cutscenes, where, of course, you can actually advance the dialogue. Something that you could not do in either the Wii or the Fantasy Reverie version, seriously, because in that case, in the Fantasy Reverie version, you at least could carry on, dare I say, to can't even think now. You could at least fast forward it, but that would mean skipping most of the story. I don't like doing that unless I have to replay a stage rather quickly. So that feature is nice. You can skip most of the dialogue here, but why would you want to? And yes, and the dialogue here is the same present in the Fantasy Reverie version. As for the actual gameplay, I will admit, I like it. I like it more than the Wii version. I know I said initially when I played the Wii version on my channel that I like that more than the PS1 version. Boy, was I wrong. Yeah, this looks gorgeous, seriously. And the whole aesthetics, especially for a PS1 game, a console that, as I say, would this now being such a rare game and everything. Yeah, I do prefer this to both, graphically at least. I've not played it in ages. I believe it is available on the PS3, but I don't know. I don't know if the PS Network is down on the PS3. And this, of course, is where we meet Baloo, of course, the stonemason. I'm not going through the whole game, by the way, no. But yes, just the sight of him just jumping in the air from here. Yeah, And the attention to detail as well. Something that I think, I don't know if I can say corners the cook, but yeah. But that's that, I guess. And the dialogue is also different. They kind of, in the Fantasy Reverie version, took the dialogue from both the Wii and the PS1 version and kind of meshed it together. Though the actual voice, I think, is from the PS1 version, given how muffled it sounds in the Fantasy Reverie version. But yeah, I dare say this is actually the better version of the game than even the Fantasy Reverie version, and that does have the easy mode for someone like myself who usually gets pissed off with these games and blue yelling there. Anyway, let's get to the boss battles. I think I'll have a look at probably the most annoying boss battle. That one with Guardius, of course. To be honest, with Guardius, he actually looks a lot more ominous than he did in either version, seriously. There's this like dark shadow sort of look to him. And he also uses his hands here, seriously. We did not see that in either the Fantasy Reverie version or the Wii version, but yeah. You can see him actually pushing the moves down at you as well. True, you still have to run along the thing there and send them back at him, but yeah. Still far easier. And just as we're talking about final bosses, let's look at Nahatomb as well. Nahatomb, still the oversized margin volcano he is, still having to throw each of the moves into each of the cannons, of course, and potentially sending out his armored moves who are nigh on invincible to kill you. That bit has not changed between versions, neither has his giant tongue. Oh no. So yes, although he does open his mouth a lot more in the PS1 version. Seriously. But yeah, you destroy him in the same way. So yeah, just be careful of where the moves land. The one thing I will say about the PS1 version, which is another positive, is that it doesn't have the collision detection of the Wii and PS4 versions either. Again, I suppose it would have been too much for Namco Bandai to actually build the game up from the ground up and everything, and then do that. The only thing I don't like is that we don't see the cannons go off and exploding into him. But never mind. Or maybe it's just that the cannons are not fully loaded yet, which, honestly, yeah. Also, I forgot completely because I was playing the Fantasy Reverie version, is that you only get 2 hearts! Okay, you do actually see some sort of explosion. And then, like before, Klonoa gets sucked inside Nahatomb. And let's see the Smash Brothers portion of this, because we still see the eye beams from him. We still see some rocks going up in the background. So I'm gonna say he does still do the eye beams, because, yeah, looks a bit less master handish at least. So at least that's something. But other than that, yeah, the whole background is still sliding and everything. Okay, it looks a lot less master handish in the PS1 version. That is good because, well, this game came out 2 years before Smash Brothers on the N64, so it would do. You still have to throw the moves back at him, of course, in this phase. Although this time you have to slam them into these crystals. Before they look more like meteorites in both them. Well, certainly the Fantasy Reverie version, so that's different. Also, the meteors don't look like they're coming at you like before. So yeah, so you don't throw them at him. You have to throw it at the crystals in the PS1 version, which you did see him generating at the beginning with Nahatomb. So yeah, and of course. Before I do finish this, I am going to look at the ending, because I think it is important to actually look at the ending to Daughter Phantomile, because, oh boy, is it different in the PS1 version. Seriously. The amount of difference between it and both the Wii and the PS4 versions is very noticeable. Like before, we end up back outside Nahatum on these platforms, and now we have to drop each of the moves inside Nahatum just like before. Well, yeah, but it will make Klonoa taste the rainbow, and of course, pretty much force him to jump between platforms when he starts pretty much breathing on them, which, to be honest, looks more comical in the PS1 version, seriously. I'm going to put that down to the graphics, which still look awesome. The rainbows aren't as big as in the Fantasy Reverie version, but they are there. They are totally there, and the death moves are here as well. With the rainbows, I don't know, you still throw moves into the cannons. They are still going around this, each of the platforms there, so yeah. I had to move quickly. It looks like it takes him a little longer with Nahatum to actually destroy the platforms. Seriously, so we're given a bit more leeway, if anything, in the PS1 version. I don't know if this game actually supports analog controls, because one of the first games I know of that used analog controls was Crash Bandicoot 2, and that was released in the same year, 1997, as this game. So yeah, so I do not know if if this game would have supported analog controls. Not that it matters, given that it's a 2D, well, 2.5D game, is Daughter Phantomile. So yeah, and there we go, Nahatum gets destroyed. Now let's get to that ending, well, almost. There is one more thing I do want to see in the PS1 version, and that is, of course, Klonoa shooting Hupo into Nahatum, of course. We will be friends forever. Yeah, that kind of rings hollow now that we've seen the ending. And I'll get to that, but firstly, let's see Klonoa shooting Hupo into Nahatum. You will note when the world goes back to, dare I say, Breezegale, is that it is not all sunny and happy. Oh no, the lingering effects of Dardius's takeover are still there. The dark aura, the dark clouds, everything. Yes, and that is where the Diva Lefise comes in. Because, of course, it is much more pertinent in the PS1 version, her thing. Because it is her song that will get rid of all the darkness in the world of Phantomile. And the fact that this actually does look sad. Seriously. Compared to the PS4 and Wii versions, yeah. When I first saw this, because keep in mind I have not played the PS1 version this far, and everything, and in my ignorance doing the PS1 version does look a lot better, and yeah, that animation right there! The fact that this is all done with sprites is actually quite a marvel in terms of how it's done. Seriously.